Why did I want to open a barbershop? To make that make sense, I have to start from when I wanted to become a barber, right? When I realized I wanted to become a barber, which started while I was in the Marine Corps, and my reenlistment was denied due to a whole bunch of administrative issues, just a timing thing. So once that happened, I had the decision to either do what's called a lateral move, so change my occupation within the military, or just get out. So at the time, I was on a naval vessel, and because I was in the Marine Corps and I don't have a job in the Navy, we have pretty much almost nothing to do on the boat. I spent most of my time in the barbershop because I already knew how to. I had already been cutting my own hair, so I understood how to cut hair decently, I guess. And I spent a lot of my time in the barbershop. So when it came time to make that decision, whether to stay in or get out, one day I was just sitting in the barbershop. I think I actually posted it on my feed because I found the picture. So I was just sitting in the shop, and after a while, I was like, yo, I could do this. Because I was just sitting in the barbershop empty, like I am now. And I was just thinking to myself, like, damn, what am I going to do? And I just looked up and looked around, and I was like, I love the vibe that we get in the barbershop. And this is on the ship, middle of the ocean, nothing else to do, and we still found a way to bring a barbershop feel to the middle of the ocean. Like, it felt like a real barbershop. We were in there, we talked shit all day, every day. We played video games, we played card games. Like, we were in there having a time. Like, mind you, we have nothing else really to do or nowhere else to really go. And, no family affairs to attend to. So we're stuck on this ship, obviously. But it just felt different outside of just being in the middle of the ocean. Like, it felt like a real barbershop. So I just felt great about it, and I wasn't even making crazy money. I think I was charging people like $5 for a haircut, or like the homie hookup, or drug deals. What can you do for me? Based on the haircut barter system, like the whole nine. So like, I just liked the whole vibe of it and what I was able to do with it, right? So I think that's what built my passion for being a barber today, because that's what drove me here, right? So after that deployment, we pretty much got back stateside, and I went to the education center on base and asked them like, what's the route to becoming a barber, because I had no idea. So the lady at the education center pretty much like stopped me and told me, she was like, hey, whatever brought you here to us today, follow it, because we didn't have any of this information until yesterday. So a sergeant that had just gotten out, I think she said about a year prior, had gotten out, found a barber school that was VA certified, so the VA would pay for the school, went to that school, learned everything he could, and ended up opening his own barbershop. So he accumulated all that information and brought it back to the education center to make the process more streamlined for the next individual that wanted to follow. So once she told me that, she was like, we didn't have any of this info until yesterday. So whatever brought you in today, follow that feeling, because this is clearly meant to be for you. And she gave me the entire packet, because I guess they had made a copy of it or whatever. So ever since then, I knew it was meant to be, to the point that I want to say shortly after that, I went to the school. So I think the next day, I went to the barber school, signed up for barber school, and That was it. Hit the ground running. Designed my logo almost by accident. And then as soon as I had my logo figured out, I went and got it tattooed on my hand. And the reason I got it tattooed on my hand and on my right hand was this is your saluting hand in the military. So at the time, hand tattoos were not allowed. So I got this tattoo to ensure that I wouldn't go running back to comfort. And I tried to. So after I finished barber school, I don't know if it was fear or what exactly was in my head at the time. I just knew I needed to start making money again, because obviously in barber school I wasn't making great money because I'm in school full time. So I ended up going to the Army recruiter, prior service recruiter, and they told me because I was in the Marine Corps, the only way I could go into the Army was if I signed up for Green Beret. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. We signed all the paperwork, did everything. I stood up, shook the dude's hand, and as soon as I shook his hand, he saw my hand tattoo. And he's like, oh, I didn't see the hand tattoo before, bro. There's nothing we can do about that. You got hand tattoos. Unless you get it removed, you can't really come in. I was like, you know what? This is actually the reason I got this tattoo. And clearly I forgot, so never mind. And that was it. And I just locked in. So finished barber school, went to my first barbershop, which was a commissioned barbershop. To this day, I think those barbers that were in that shop were some of the nicest barbers I've ever cooked with, like skilled wise, like very, very skilled barbers. And I thought I was cool coming out of barber school. I thought I was hot shit. So when I got there and realized I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. At least, I don't know. It got, their skill got to me, and I felt like I needed to hurry the fuck up and get way better real fast. So going in there essentially improved my skill way faster. However, I knew I still wanted to open a barbershop. So I wanted to build up my skill. I wanted to see what it was like to work with other barbers and what the dynamic was like in different kinds of barbershops. I went to a commission shop with the intent of eventually going to a booth rental shop, because I did the math on commission, and to me, I don't like the vibes. So worked in that shop, I believe, about 3 months. A lot transpired in that shop that definitely let me know I did not want to open a commission barbershop. And they were also just shady owners. Those are some very, very shady owners. They stole money out of the register while the barbers were working. The owners of that shop were not barbers themselves. They were only operators. So they would come in days and the register would be short. So if the register is short, the barbers in the shop have to split the difference. So $20, if there's 4 of us, all of us got to come out of pocket $5 to make the register even before we pay ourselves out. That stopped happening once one of the other barbers and I went to them and said, hey, because you guys aren't putting any money into this register, do not touch this register at any point through the day until we get finished with the day and count it up and make sure everything is cool. Because you guys aren't putting money in, you shouldn't be taking money out, you're not doing anything. So you just own the shop. You don't actually do transactions here that generate income. So the register shouldn't be touched at all, especially in the middle of the day. Since that was addressed, the register was never short again. Before that being addressed, register was short like once a week or multiple times a week. So obviously issue. So once I realized, okay, now I'm being robbed in here twice, because commission makes no sense. And then number 2, they're stealing money out of the register, and then we gotta split it. So at some point they came in and got lunch money and it made us pay for their lunch or something crazy. No telling what they did with it, but it happened. So, and then shortly after that, they wanted to sponsor a local soccer team, and then I didn't understand how that was even going to transpire. Anyways, I'm like, you don't cut hair, so obviously you want to sponsor this soccer team because you want them to wear a logo or something from the barbershop and let people know that the team sponsors the soccer team, the shop sponsors the soccer team, or whatever the case is. So, a sponsorship means I get free shit. So, free haircuts from us when you don't cut hair, it just wasn't computed for me. So I brushed it off entirely. About a month or so later, one of the owners comes back. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna sponsor the soccer team, but we're gonna pay you guys for the haircut." So the difference, I think at the time we were making $13 on the haircut, while the shop was making the difference. So I was like, "Okay, cool. As long as I'm getting paid the same price for the cut, I'm good." And we were in a really, really nice area. Like behind the shop was like multi-million-dollar mansions. So we weren't in like a scrubby area. So I figured like, okay, if you're telling people they're getting a free haircut, they'll probably tip us $5, whatever. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm gonna make more money on the cut. Like I'm almost guaranteed to make, some decent cheese on the cut. I make like 18 on the cut. All right, cool, whatever. So he catches me outside by myself and we have that conversation. I go around back to like our little patio area, and one of the other barbers is back there, and then he and I get to talking about it, and he's like, "Hey, how do you feel about the soccer team sponsorship?" And I'm like, "I think it's pretty decent, for the same reason. That's it." And he's like, "Nah, bro, that's not how he explained it to me." And I was like, what do you mean?" He's like, "He told me that if they tip us $5, he's only gonna pay us 8. So he's essentially trying to cap us out at 13. So I'm like, all right, that doesn't make any sense. So I walk back around, go into the shop, because the back door is locked. So I walk back around, go back into the shop, and he's explaining it to the rest of the barbers. And he's telling them, but if the parent tips you $20, I feel we should call that even. So now you're overselling the fact that you said, I'm going to cap you at 13. Because 20, oh yeah. Because again, like I said, we're in a nice area. So the likelihood of them just saying, I'm not taking a free cut, I'm going to give you $20. It's possible. I won't say it's impossible. So you're not telling them what happens under $13. So I was like, no. Tell them what happens if they get tipped $5 or $10. What you're going to pay them. And he essentially ignores me. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll tell him. He pretty much trying to cap y'all at the 13. I'm not doing these cuts. If that's the mindset, I'm not doing any of the haircuts. So he essentially want to cap us off at $13 on the haircut instead of, us benefiting from this. Because you're the one that wanted to sponsor the soccer team. We didn't make that decision. You made that call, and you have to stand on it now. So he decides, because everybody was like looking crazy, he was like, okay, so now the first 2 chairs are gonna only do the haircuts, which were the first 2 barbers in the shop. Those 2 barbers didn't have licenses. So I felt like he could tell them to do whatever he wanted because he didn't feel they could go wherever they wanted because they didn't have licenses. So he was like, they're gonna do whatever I tell them to do anyway because this is pretty much the only place that they can cut anyway. So I was like, I can tell you right now, I'm not gonna. I was like, matter of fact, I'm gonna sit outside. Again, I was still a new barber. I think I only had 1 or 2 appointments that day, probably 1. And I was like, I'm gonna do my 1 haircut today, and I'm gonna sit outside just so I don't even accidentally cut any of these clients, so y'all don't have to play with my money, and I go absolutely crazy in this shop. So sat outside all day and just let it just play in my head. I literally sat there all day. And ended up making the decision like I gotta leave here. I didn't even have a shop figured out. By the end of the day, I packed up all my stuff, told them to pay me out what they owe me, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get out of here, bro, because this is not gonna be a good situation for any of us. So yeah, this is gonna be my last day here. So left after that because I didn't like how any of that played out. And then yeah, before all that, he said I'll just tell the parents not to tip you guys at all. Actually, so to alleviate the issue of having to cap us at 13, he's like, I'm just gonna cap you at 13 and tell them not to tip you whatsoever. So clearly that made no sense. That was the craziest shit ever. So left that shop, went to my second barbershop, and I'm not gonna name any of the shop owners, just because some crazy shit happened at pretty much every shop except the second shop. Nothing crazy happened. Only one thing happened there that I disliked. That's my boy though. Shout out, you know who you are. So the only issue I ever had with him was when I was actually starting to create my own product line. What exists now as my hair butter, I started making that while I was in barber school. And I was selling that while I was at his shop. And he also sold his own product in the shop. From that product being sold in the shop, if any of my clients purchased that product, I didn't get a cut of that product. Like not even $1 commission, nothing. So that didn't make sense to me. And then me making my own product, literally in my kitchen, making my own product, jarring it, labeling it, the whole nine, bringing it to the shop, selling it. He told me that he wanted a commission of my sales to my clients because I was selling it in his shop. That made zero sense to me. So I have to pay you for selling the product that I created, but I don't get a commission for the product you bought from elsewhere to sell. And if any of my clients, so I was like, I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you. If any of my clients ask about this product that you sell, I'm gonna tell them nothing, or I'm gonna genuinely look into the product and tell them that there's a better product out there and go buy it elsewhere, or they can get a better deal elsewhere. Because if I don't make a commission, I have no reason to sell it, or I just won't tell them anything about the product. I'm not gonna try to shoot your product down. I'm not gonna try to fuck up your sales, but I'm not gonna push the product at all by any means. I'm not gonna force sales. I'm not gonna talk them into it. I'm not gonna step it up. I'm not gonna do none of that because I don't even like how this whole deal went down. I'm like, what I can do very easily, because you want the dollar off of the top of my sales, I can just add $1 to my product that they pay you. So essentially, the customer gonna pay me and you. So I'll just add $1 to what I essentially priced out my product to cost, and I'll add that dollar on, and now the customer pays you and me. So we good. I don't lose anything, and you make what you want to make. Win-win. He wouldn't do the same thing for me. So once I learned that, I've now I gotta get weird and do weird shit. So I'll just step outside the shop and then sell the product to my client outside the shop, pretty much out of my car. So yeah, that was annoying. Outside of that, we're pretty much cool. That wasn't. I didn't have any other issues at that shop. I stayed there for, I don't even remember how long, anywhere from like 6 to 9 months or something like that. So after that was both of these shops were in California. So after that, I moved from Cali back to Florida for family reasons. So moved back here. I was doing IT for a little bit at a time. I want to say for about almost a year. And then I was cutting hair on the weekends. So I was cutting exclusively on the weekends. I didn't tell any of my clients that I was doing IT during the week. So it looked like as I was building clientele on only the weekends and I got booked every single weekend, it just looked like I was just booked all week because I would just block the schedule. I didn't tell any of them that I did IT during the week, so they wouldn't think, oh, 2 jobs, it's not whatever, because people are weird. So, and it worked. So once I stopped doing IT and started cutting full time, those people saw my schedule open up a little bit more and would just start to book like throughout the week. And then at that time is when I told them, like, no, I was doing IT during the week. So That's why you didn't really see like the week, whatever. But now I'm cutting full time, no more IT shit. So we're locked in. So um, that's the first shop I worked in before coming cutting full time. Where was that at? Yes. So we were actually pretty much down the street from me right now. That was two owners, and I was there for I don't even know a couple weeks or so. I think I was in school. I think I was still getting like a couple of my certificates at the time. So I go into the shop one day, and none of my stuff is on my station. One of the shop owners is there. He's like, "Oh, let me talk to you outside real quick." He's like, "Yeah, um, we gave your station to another barber, but we're putting another station into the shop, and we're gonna move you to that station. It's like we need somebody here to like on a more like full time basis." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And I think at the time I was doing like 5 or 6 days a week. The owner that I'm talking to, pretty much, I think only worked 5 or 6 days a week. So I'm like, we work the same amount of fucking time, bro. What are you talking about? So I was like, all right. And then I'm like, new barber, new station. That old barber, keep station. That just makes fucking sense to me. All right, bro. So I was like, cool. I sit outside just so I don't crash the fuck out on nobody. Sit outside, let it breathe. I'm fuming the whole time I'm outside. That shit didn't work at all. So I'm chilling. I'll stay outside just so I don't have to crash out on nobody. Wait for the other owner to get there. At the same time the other owner pulls up, the other barber that they gave my station to pulls up. I remember the barber from I want to say the week prior. They were sitting in the shop and they were chit chatting. I'm not fluent in Spanish by any means. The dude speaks absolutely no English. The new barber speaks absolutely no English at all. The other shop owner is Hispanic. The one that was in the shop when I first got there speaks absolutely no Spanish. So I'm like, okay, original shop owner that was in the shop, essentially innocent because he has no idea what was being transpired pretty much right in front of his face. We'll get to that later. So, shop owner that speaks Spanish gave away my station, convinced other shop owner this was the better decision, put me in a new station just to keep me in house while other plans are transpiring, right? So once he pulls up, I see the other barber. I pretty much figure out exactly how it all played out. Okay, cool. Pull both of them outside. I'm like, hey, bro, what y'all did makes absolutely no sense. Highly disrespectful. I'm highly annoyed. However, instead of me burning any bridges, pay me out for the week. I will be on my way, and I'm gonna just let this be exactly what it is. Let's just go our separate ways, and I'm gonna try and hold this together as best I can. Cause right now, I'm like close to like going to jail right now. So let's just cut this all right now, and let this be what it is, bro. So it was like, all right, we'll just pay you out, and we'll just whatever. Went on our separate ways. I think I went out to like Coral Springs, cutting a barbershop over there. I was cutting at that shop, and I think at that time I was like, you know what? That's when I started doing IT during the week, cutting on only the weekends, and then went to the Coral Springs shop doing the weekend thing. And then I was there for maybe a month, maybe two. I don't know. So yeah, what's that? Maybe yeah, a month or two. I don't know. So one day I'm on my way to the shop, and the owner calls me. He's like, "Hey, there's some people waiting outside the shop. Are you on your way?" Mind you, I think I'm like an hour, maybe 30 minutes early to even like shop time to open. So I'm like, yeah, I'm on the way, and I'm on my motorcycle, so I'm going decently fast. And then I was like, yeah, I'll probably be there in like 5 or 10 minutes, bro. So he's like, all right, cool. So I get to the shop. There's like a group of people, just like 2 or 3 dudes and a lady, and I greet them, unlock the shop, start opening up, setting up, and everything. I'm thinking somebody getting a haircut. There's 3 dudes and a lady, or 2 dudes and a lady. I don't remember. So they just start walking around the shop, just like pointing at shit, like, "Oh yeah, we can change this, we can do that, we can, probably put a TV here, we can do this, do that." So mind you, to my knowledge, the shop is fairly new. I see some little shit here and there that could be like updated or improved a little bit, but I'm like, all right, shop's still brand new. I imagine they're still like building. They just put it together real quick, put some barbers in here, and like they're just gonna figure it out over time. So I'm like, I could say a couple improvement, but not like hire a fucking company to come in here and like completely remodel and redo the whole fucking thing. Like that's crazy. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. So the people leave almost without saying really anything to me. I think the only advice I gave them was don't put fucking TVs above the stations because no barber wants their clients looking up while they're trying to cut their fucking hair. Like that makes no fucking sense. So, yeah, they took that little tidbit, said peace out, and just walked out. So I'm like, all right, I'm not nosy, so I'm not gonna ask what the fuck is going on. But they just left, and it just was what it was. So that was Saturday morning or something like that. I cut all day Saturday. None of the barbers bring it up. Just obviously they're here all week. I'm only here Saturday, Sunday. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Then I go throughout my week, do the IT thing, come back following weekend. The Saturday I come back after that, the people that were outside the shop are now inside the shop. Mind you, I'm at this point realize I'm the only barber that comes in early in the morning. I'm the first one there. Everybody doesn't come until 3-4 hours after I do. So I walk up, lights are on, everything's on. The people that were outside are now inside the shop sitting in the chairs. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I open the shop, say, hey, good morning, what's going on, guys? It was like, hey, we're the new owners of the shop. We just want to let you know, like, whatever money you made last week or whatever you make this week, yada, 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 you get to keep all that stuff. And we're going to shut the shop down starting next week or something like that, which I think was Memorial Day weekend, which annoyed the shit out of me. I'm like, why would you shut the shop down on a 3-day weekend? Like, that's crazy. I was going to make some cheese. So they were going to shut the shop down the following weekend for remodels and doing, the whole nine. So they were like, yeah, you're the only barber that we're going to keep on staff because you're the only one that has their license. The rest of them don't have a license. And I was like, oh, shit, I didn't even know that. So whatever. So they leave. I'm there. I'm like, okay. So obviously, I imagine, again, because I'm only cutting on the weekends, that the rest of the barbers know that this already happened. They just stayed there. I don't know, whatever the fuck I was thinking. That they stayed there just to tell me that they were the new owners. So the day goes on, the other barbers started to trickle in, and nobody brings it up, so I start asking. I'm like, yo, like, how y'all feel about like the new owners? They was like, bro, what? Like, how do y'all feel about the new? Have y'all met the new owners of the shop? Like the new? They're like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, nah. They told y'all they sold the shop. It was like, what the fuck you mean they sold us? I'm like, bro, when I got here this morning, there was new people. I'm like, go try your key on the door. Your key doesn't work on the door no more, bro. They didn't fucking tell y'all they sold the fucking shop. There's no way they didn't tell y'all they sold this fucking shop, bro. So they go try their fucking keys on the door, and their keys don't fucking work. It's like, oh, you for real? I'm like, yes, bro. The shop has been sold. Like, and they told me that I'm the only barber staying on staff because none of y'all niggas had a license. And they was like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, bro. So I'm like, how did they not tell y'all that they sold the shop? That doesn't make any sense. And they go start calling the shop owners and everything. They was like, yeah, we sold it. I'm like, that's foul that they didn't tell y'all, bro. It's surprised you no longer have a shop to work in. It's crazy. So I'm like, granted, y'all don't have fucking licenses, and that's on y'all. But it's still fucked up. So yeah, left that fucking shop. Never went back. That shop was closed for I think like 3 months. I think the people who bought the shop for their son, who was like a drug addict and had been a barber for 18 fucking years and couldn't figure out how to open his own barbershop. So I definitely knew I wasn't going back there. And then went to back to the shop where they gave away my station actually. And then I was there for a little bit. So now this circles back to how I know the owner that spoke Spanish and the barber that spoke no English only spoke Spanish. There was a whole plan that was being worked out. So barber that only spoke Spanish was no longer at that shop when I went back. And then I was there for maybe a week or two. And then he pulls up the cameras at his other location and says it was on a Sunday and nobody was in the shop except the barber that only fucking spoke Spanish. So I look at the camera and I see the guy who they had previously given away my station to, and I'm like, so you convinced the other shop owner to bring in this barber and replace me because I was only working 5 days a week at the time. And this dude, I guess, promised to work all 7. And your plan from the start was to have him work at your other location once it was fully open, because he had already got the location and he just needed somebody that was going to grind it out every single day, which he did. So he sent that dude over there almost immediately. So again, he pulls up the camera and there's like 7 people in the waiting area and the barber's like cutting people and they're all walk-ins. So actually I think there was 10 people. As he pulls up the camera, 3 people get up and they walk out. So I'm like, I'm sitting here in this shop doing absolutely nothing. Shop is too small with too many chairs in it, too many barbers in it. Makes no sense. I will happily go over there, bro. He's like, what, for real? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going, bro. So I ended up going to that shop. And I think I made like $400 that day because I was literally just cutting like back to 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 back. And I was like, I called him like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna stay over here. So he's like, all right, cool. So I take my station over there, start cutting over there. Then I was still only cutting on the weekends. I think that lasted another 2 months, 3 months. Maybe not even, yeah, I'll say 2 months. 2 or 3 months, I don't know. So kept cutting on the weekends for a little bit. Eventually went full time. Shortly after I went full time cutting hair, at that point I was 7 days a week because I was already working 7 days a week. So I figured, fuck it, let's just cut 7 days a week. So, other shop owner that owned this shop partially, and then the other shop partially, he ended up selling to the shop I was in now, selling his other half to the dude that was already in the shop because he wasn't planning on opening another shop. Anybody local already knows what I'm talking about at this point. So, so now the shop I'm in now only has one owner, and he was alright for the most part. He did a couple fucking weird things where he was charging some barbers different booth rent, like under the table, being real sneaky and shit and real weird, and that shit rubbed me all types of the wrong way, bro. Shit almost got real ugly in there a couple times. But I don't like feel like I'm being taken advantage of. So for you to charge other barbers a different price in booth rent than me. So pretty much as soon as I started coming full time, I started paying full booth rent. I was paying booth rent 100%, only to find out a couple months later that, because while I was only on the weekends, I think I was just doing a commission split because I'm not guaranteed to make a crazy amount of money while I'm there. Even though I think only on the weekends, the commission split I was paying was pretty much booth rent or more. So, we did, I think I just started paying full booth rent. And after a couple months, one of the other barbers and I are talking about it, and a third barber that's in the shop, he's like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna just keep it a buck with y'all. I don't think I pay what y'all pay in booth rent, bro." I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "I think he was only paying like 175 or something like that, which was drastically lower than what I think booth rent was like 250." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Bro, I've been paying 250 for like a couple months," and come to find out, damn near half the barbershop wasn't paying fucking full booth rent. Maybe all the other barbers except myself and one other barber. So obviously I go to the shop owner and I'm like, "Yo, why the fuck you didn't tell us that booth rent isn't what we've been paying?" I'm like, "I get it. You don't want to tell us because you obviously don't want to give away the money. Whatever, I get it. However, that's wild, bro." Anyway, stay there. I stayed there for definitely like maybe a year, a little over, and then yeah, that happened a couple times. Nothing terrible happened at that shop that I couldn't, get over. Just shop owner being weird about booth rent was probably the worst of it. I think he's a weird dude entirely, but everybody got their own thing. Everybody got their thing. So I stayed there for a bit. It was cool. Nothing super crazy happened there. He hired plenty of unlicensed barbers, drug addicts coming to the shop, falling asleep, standing up, the whole nine. I'm sure every shop has gone through some crazy shit, whatever. Not mine. Ain't had no drug addicts in here. But yeah, left there. What I thought was not in bad blood, but whatever. Um, Made a deal with same odd dude to we were gonna partner on a barbershop together. But once I got over there, he was missing a good deal of like paperwork with the city, and I saw like he has some illiteracy issues with putting words together in an email and all this nonsense. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to my cheese until we done putting everything together, because it looks like you might be struggling with doing some things. So once we got everything situated, I give you my half and we'll lock in, because he already did everything up front anyway. So I was pretty much just coming in on the back end to come in and partner with him on the shop itself. So that was supposed to be the deal. Some issues happened with opening the shop, which took like 14 months to finally actually like finalize paperwork. During that whole time, he lost another shop that he couldn't afford because he didn't have enough barbers in there. The traffic wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. This is like post-COVID, so some shops are struggling with people wanting and feel comfortable coming back and whatever. So him having two shops at a time, I guess, just spread them thin, and it just wasn't working out like that. So he lost one other shop, compacted everybody into one shop. The shop that him and I were supposed to partnership on, that didn't play out too well. So when it came to it, our original deal was for me to give him, I think, like 15, which was more than generous. And because I think it cost him only like 25 to open the shop. But I was like, all right, cool, I'll give you 15 and we 50-50 it. Call it a day, bro. So once he lost the other shop and was figuring this shop out, the property owner for the shop we were at together told him, because we were having these issues with like getting the shop, it was like some blueprint issues with like the floor plans of the shop. So once the plaza owner essentially told him, like, don't worry about paying the rent for a little bit, just like figure out your issues with the city, and then once you figure that out, then we can go back to getting rent back on schedule or whatever. He didn't say like those that time was free. He just said don't worry about it until everything is situated. So, because obviously we're still in the shop making money, generating money. We're not like not cutting because the city hasn't approved like the blueprints or anything. So we figured that part out. This took 14 months, and there was a 6-month period in which he did not pay booth rent. And once he told the plaza owner that, because I cut the plaza owner's hair, and once he came in, he told him, he's like, hey, we're officially open. We got everything situated. The plaza owner left, came back with the invoice. He was like, hey, here's your invoice for the full amount. I think it was north of like $12,000, something like that. And because he says it out loud. And I'm like, all right. I imagine our deal that was taken off the table for me to be part owner is now back on the table. So he took it off the table because he lost the other shop, lost somewhere upwards of $30,000, $40,000, probably much more than that. And yeah, I don't know if he got evicted from that other shop or not, but he definitely could not afford to continue paying rent over there, especially in 2 locations. Because I was the only barber in the location that him and I were supposed to partner on, and there was only 2 barbers at the location that he was struggling to maintain. So yeah, everybody's compacted into the one location, and then he takes the deal off the table. So now it's back on the table because the invoice has been put on the table that he now owes that 6 months of rent that went unpaid for a while. So he called me outside, asked me if I'm still interested in the partnership. I'm like, yeah, bro, but you know my price, 15. I'm like, at this point, it might be lower. So he's like, I need a little more than 15, bro. So I'm like, what? Mind you, I spent 9 months in this shop by myself. I built up the foot traffic in this shop by myself, the reputation of the shop, everything. Mind you, I was in there by myself. There was nobody else in there. Nobody was in there cutting. And I couldn't cut everybody because I was pretty much booked all the time. So I'm like, I had to turn a lot of people away, but I would send them over to the other shop. If they would go, I can't really control that. It's not on me. So that part of the deal made no sense. And then it came down to, yeah, he wanted $30,000 for half of the shop. That made no sense. So I broke down the math for him. I think we only had 6 chairs in that shop. I broke that math all the way down for him. I'm like, bro, you and I both cut in the shop. That's 6 chairs in the shop. We don't really have space to compact any more chairs into the shop. That's not really an option at all. So 6 chair shop, you and I cut. That takes 2 chairs off the table. We have 4 chairs now left to get booth rent out of. Let's say we're at $250 a week per chair. Mind you, we only have 2 barbers in the shop. So there's 2 chairs that are still empty. The minute I give you this $30,000, I immediately go negative. Because next month, I now have to split rent with you. Because we don't have enough barbers in here to cover the rent. So, or like, to cover everything. So I'm like, I at least have to come out like $100 or so to cover the rest of whatever's being paid. So I'm continuing to go negative until we find 2 other barbers. Granted, that probably wouldn't be extremely difficult. There's 2 of us that are shop owners that are responsible for filling those 2 stations. Not impossible, or at least for me to find 2 barbers. Not impossible. So I break this math. I'm like, bro, by the time I get my money back, to even break even would take 10 years to break even on what I gave you. That makes no sense. So, and I'm like, and it cost you $25,000 to open this shop, somewhere in that ballpark. So, why would I give you 30 if it cost you 25 to open it? And at that point, I saw him like realize that the number didn't really make sense. He was like, okay, but what if I get someone to offer me $60,000 for the shop? Would you still? It's like, would you give me 30 then? I'm like, no. If they give you $60,000, take it. Take $60,000 and run. I'm like, you just robbed them. Take that 60. So, deal definitely off the table. At that point, I was like, all right. I started looking around in the area to find my own shop. So I'm like, it's clearly like this dude doesn't believe me. So let me go look around where I can spend $30,000 and get my own full shop. Here we are. Came over here, looked at the space, and it was perfect. It was everything I wanted. And I had written my shop down, like fully listed, in like 2017. I have it on my old Android like tablet, literally fully. But the color of these floors is exactly the floors that I was going to choose. I have it listed on my list. So I walked in here, these floors were already installed. I already knew I was going to paint my walls black. 2017, I had already built all this out. I knew all the walls were going to be black. I knew the floors were going to be gray. The outlets where all these stations are were already in place. And literally as soon as I walked in, the place was pink when I first got in. But as soon as I walked in, I knew it was perfect. I knew it was meant to be, and I knew I had to do it. So I did it. And the listing agent or the property manager, um, he told me, he was like, "Hey, the place is yours if you want it. We looked at all your stuff, and it's good." He's like, "First, last, and security deposit, and we're good." And I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'm doing it." And it was like literally that was like not even like a week from the day after I saw it. I think 3 days later, I think I had the keys to the shop. So that shit happened like super fast. Like before I even really realized I was even ready. And from there, I just knew the exact kind of shop I wanted to build. I knew I would never want to play with people's booth rent. So I was like, okay, instead of making people feel weird about booth rent or stressing barbers out about booth rent, I'll give barbers their first month free. And that's a nod to the second shop I worked in California, where a dude like kept me at a very low price for essentially the whole time I was there, and let it be known that I would have a discounted rate because I was the first barber to work in the shop. So I give everyone 1 month free, and then we incrementally increase booth rent over the course of the time, like after that first month. Just so you start out in a surplus, so you have a whole month to figure out your first week of booth rent, which is very low, and then the following month you just build up, and obviously you're supposed to grow over time, and you can obviously comfortably pay over time. So you just got to put the fucking work in, which a lot of barbers don't do. So I do that, and then when a new barber comes in, for already existing barbers, booth rent is decreased until the new barber comes up to current barber's level, and then everybody goes back up to full booth rent price at the same time. So that way nobody's being played with, no money's being fucked up. Barbers that already exist are happy to see a new barber come in because they're like, boom, discount on fucking booth rent. Let's go. I get to save, $150 this month, $100 next month, $75 the following month, and whatever, so on and so forth. So everyone's happy to see the new barber come in because a discount comes with new dude coming in, right? So I feel that built up, and it worked. That was my psychology behind it before I even knew it would work, and it works to the point that my barbers are like, "Hey, we need to get a new barber here, so we can get that discount. Like, we can fucking pretty much hire and fire him and bring a new one in a couple months later or some shit." So hopefully they're joking, but they talk about it often, so I know that the psychology is in place behind it, and I'm not crazy for thinking of it like that because it works. So that's like one of my biggest things about bringing barbers in, and because I have my own product line, 1919, is the hair products and everything. All my barbers get a commission for their clients making a purchase on the product, even if their client has bought the product 30, 40 fucking times. Every time the client buys a product, they get their commission on it. They also have their own ambassador codes that they can, portray on their Instagram or do any kind of ad. If they do a video, hey, use my discount code. If you use that discount code on the website, they get a commission from the online sales as well. But they don't fucking do it. But if they did it, they would generate commission on that as well. So again, something I learned from that I didn't want done to me, I made sure my barbers would get paid from the effort that they put in or the clients that they bring in. So how I see it, let's say $1 commission, which is a large percentage of profits. Let's say that. So they're essentially like over 10% of profits on each sale with that, let's say $1 commission, right? So they're probably like 15, 20%. Or 15, probably 15%. Something like that. So if they get that commission, let's say over the course of a year, if you take a whole year and you sell, let's say booth rent's $250, you sell 250 plus 365 days in a year, it's very possible to sell 250 units of product, right? That's a whole free week of booth rent that was paid back to you for essentially nothing. Or you would style somebody's hair, right? Or at least paid you back for the product that you purchased to style on their hair, because they also buy product from me for essentially cost. I don't make profit on what they buy it from me for. I just make enough to be able to replace that product that they bought. That's pretty much it. So that's fair to me. That makes sense. I'm not trying to drain your pockets. I want to see every barber in my shop make money. I want everybody here to be wealthy. I don't want any barbers struggling, scrounging for scraps, or doing anything crazy. I want everybody here to do well, feel well, come to work happy, no drama, no bullshit in my shop. I'm not gonna snake anybody. My barbers have absolutely no worries in the world whatsoever, whether or not I'm gonna backdoor them on anything, whether or not I'm gonna mistreat them on anything, with like nothing. My barbers have absolutely no stress about how I will represent them, about how I will treat them, about how I will make the shop feel, about the vibe of the shop, me bringing the wrong people in here. They have no stress about that shit whatsoever. I'm so picky about who I work with, how I work, what I do. They see the effort that I put into everything, and they know I'm dead serious about this shit. So, and that's just how I saw it from the very beginning. I knew I wanted to be a shop owner. I knew I wanted good vibes. I knew I wanted like a shop to be a shop. I want a barbershop to be a barbershop. That's why I'm not a fan of like salon suites and shit, right? Not especially like barbers being in salon suites, or like it's just not the fucking same, dog. Like it's just a totally different vibe entirely. And a barbershop is a barbershop. And that's what got me excited about wanting to do this shit. That's why I wanted to be a shop owner. And that's what I love about this shit, like the absolute most, is that it's what you make it. If you're good at what you do and you like good vibes and people like to be around you and everything is cooling and chilling, you can have a dope shop. Your shop could be dope. And yeah, that's what got me here. It's just wanting to do cool shit. Like, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. My shop's nowhere, it's not profitable, like at all. I pretty much come out of pocket to pay like the overhead for my shop outside of like the barber's rent. Not like crazy amount, but because I'm very selective about who I bring into my shop. And I've had bad apples in here. Trust me, I have for a while. And I regret that shit entirely. Like, I'm not happy about it at all. But it'll never happen again. Ever, ever, never, ever. Never. It'll never happen again. And yeah, I'm very selective about who I bring into my shop. I don't mind paying the overhead until we get the right people. I don't care how long it takes. I promise I don't. And me opening my shop allowed me all the freedoms to do everything it allowed me to actually create my merchandise, my hair product line, and actually push it all the way. Because obviously, no shop owner is going to let me do that free range. They're going to charge me for a product display. They're going to charge me for something, or want something, or try to water it down a little bit, or I'm not going to be able to put it in the very forefront of the barbershop itself, because obviously that looks like the shop owns it, and I'm taking up more real estate in the shop. So, I couldn't comfortably do that. I still did it, but a lot comes with that. But now me having my own shop, like I make way more money than I probably ever could have made in any other shop, because I'm allowed the freedoms in my own space, right? I have the products, I have the merchandise. I'm able to, create the vibe that I want. I don't have to argue about music. I don't have to do any of that. I have a wide. If you look at any of our fucking Google reviews, most of the fucking Google reviews are about the music selection. I swear to God, which is crazy, to the point that like music is in like our what is it, like our SEOs, like pretty much our keywords about our Google searches. One of the keywords is music. It pops up because I want to say 60 to 70% of the reviews mention the music and the vibe of the music. And it's literally because we have something for almost everybody. Like we have like the music will go from salsa, merengue to 90s hip hop, like that, like straight up just all out beat switch, vibe switch, everything, and we have something for everybody. I keep it on shuffle all day long, and everybody loves the vibe of the music. Everything is censored, so there's no crazy music being played. Nobody has to worry about covering their kids' ears or just being uncomfortable about a song. And every now and then, a couple will slip through the cracks. But as long as the right people are in company, we'll let the song play, or we'll just skip it and on to the next. So nobody's uncomfortable. Nobody's feeling like they shouldn't be here or not welcome here or whatever. But yeah, I just love this shit, man. And I'm glad I was able to open my own shop. I'm very happy about it. I don't regret any bit of it. Um, yeah, I hope this video helps somebody. And if you thinking about owning a shop, just always do the right shit, man. Don't try to backdoor people. Don't try to backstab people. That shit not cool. And you're gonna end up being talked about subliminally in somebody's video like this. Like I don't want to. I ain't gonna mention no names, but if they probably won't even watch my fucking videos, and if they do, they know exactly who the fuck they are. So, more power to you. I appreciate y'all.